welcome to Empower Her podcast. And I am so grateful to be here today with Josanne Falla, all the way from Noosa, Queensland, Australia. But in actual fact, she did come all the way from the United Kingdom, and we're going to find out all about that very soon. Josanne Falla is a passionate advocate for women's empowerment and dedicated to the community wellbeing in Australia. Through her leadership with Womankind, she supports initiatives that provide women with crisis counselling, housing assistance, legal guidance, and financial support, ensuring that those facing hardship are met with dignity, connection, and hope. A very big welcome to Empower Her podcast. So we love what you do, Josanne, and thank you so much for making such a huge impact and big difference in the world. And I really enjoyed being on this journey with you and feeling what you have done and being a part of helping raise funds as well.
Absolutely.
So I love your chapter 16. We're going to get you on in just a second. The courage to be me. I also love, here we go again, chapter 16, page 16-7. Wow. All right. You say a comfort zone is a beautiful place, but nothing ever grows there. I think this is very interesting because sometimes we don't even know that we're in a comfort zone, but if maybe we're not growing, then perhaps we are sitting in that comfort zone. And just before you jump on, because I'm dying to get you on, I want to read these lines because, wow. Your chapter starts with, I'm a very ordinary woman who has lived a very fulfilled life. Life and adventure and stepping outside my comfort zones are the very thrilling pieces that excite and terrify me all at the same time. So big welcome. Come on.
Hey, thank you. Thank you for having me, Catherine. This has been very exciting for me. Been wanting to tell my story for a long time, but I'm not a writer. So this has given me a lovely opportunity to share some of the little grains of salt I've gathered along the way.
So tell us a little bit more about the comfort zone. It's a beautiful place, but nothing ever grows there. This is the very start of the book, from a very ordinary woman. So tell us a little bit about the beginning. What made you so ordinary?
Just a young girl that grew up in Melbourne, very ordinary childhood, and never did anything special. But I'm a big dreamer, and I've always followed my dreams. I don't know how that came about. I think maybe a bit of a daydreamer, and I never was told, no, you can't do something. So I've just continued chasing rainbows, basically. I do believe very much as I've grown about creating vision boards, creating goals, and moving towards them. So stepping through the fire sometimes is very scary. I know I had a speech on Friday, International Women's Day. Speaking is not my gig. Everyone said it was absolutely fabulous, and yet I'm shaking like a leaf. So I don't like to be front and center, but I do like to encourage myself to do things that I'm scared of.
Well, I'm really excited to hear that you did speak because, this is the empowerment. You give it to everybody, but for everyone to hear, the woman behind all of this, I think is really, really important as well, because that's where people can feel inspired as well. I love how you said you came from an ordinary family. Do you know, I think ordinary families set you up to be able to take more risks. I came from a very ordinary family. My mum and dad, everything was grounded. I think it allowed us to try something and then still be able to come back to this very ordinary, safe, calm setting. So sometimes that just allows us to take, for me, it felt like I was able to take more risks because of this. I could just come back and everything was always the same. I thought of my parents as this big tree, you'd go out, might fall off a branch, but you could, get back on. And I was hoping that I could be that for my children as well.
Yeah.
So your life was never really ordinary, was it? Was it ordinary before children, or did it just kick off when you first visited Fiji or Western Samoa? You were with the chief of the village and they invited us for some cacao, and he inquired as to whether we'd like to live there. And of course, this was a tropical paradise, and we said yes, but what could we do for work? His answer unsettled us and changed our lives forever. So,
Mhm.
listeners, listen to this. Why do you need to work? He said. There's coconut in the trees and fish in the ocean. So take us to that time when you decided to live with coconut in the trees and fish in the ocean.
Well, we'd always been travellers, and I got pregnant with my first child when we were about to head off for 6 years overseas. So we decided to stay home. We built a house, we bought an old house in the suburbs, did it up, had a second child, was studying at university, but the travel bug was big. We just loved to travel. But of course, we had 2 kids and jobs. And this particular journey just unsettled us. We came home from Samoa. So it was a little island, one of the small islands off Samoa. Very, very simple life. And we came home and we thought, what are we doing? Why are we getting up in the morning? You're getting up early in the morning, get the kids ready for school, off to work all day, come home. And we're in Melbourne, so it's cold and wet and miserable. We'd had 2 years with no summer. We were bedraggled, we were tired. And we just decided, why not? What have we got to lose? So we came home. My husband came home on a Friday night and he had a few drinks with his boss. I'd been home with the kids all afternoon. Thought, why are we doing this? So we called the real estate agent the next morning, put the house on the market. 3 months later, we had quit, sold, and had backpacks on our back. We decided to start with the islands in the Pacific. We love the islands, Fiji, Tonga, Samoa, the Cook Islands, just because they were such peaceful places. And then from there, we were going to explore the rest of the world. We were going to catch a public transport from Mexico all the way to Tierra del Fuego. That was our plan. The islands were superb. We just had the most wonderful time there. South America was a little bit tougher with 2 kids in tow. We just found it was very difficult on the buses, the chilies, the toilet stops, the accommodations. It was just too hard with a 3 and an 8-year-old. So we just decided we picked the places we really wanted to go. A lot of terrorist activity over in South America at the time. So we went to the places we wanted to go to, which was Brazil, of course, and Rio and Brazil, and it was absolutely wonderful. And then we decided we'd go to America. We never wanted to see the States. We didn't like big cities. So we bought ourselves a 79 Cadillac Coupe de Ville and we filled it with camping gear, and we spent the next year trawling through the national parks of the States. Absolutely stunning country. I'm very sorry what's happening over there now because the countryside is stunning. The people are beautiful, very warm and welcoming. So travel was just been our passion. And as I was talking to you before, we didn't actually have a plan. We had a one-way ticket to the UK via the islands, via Los Angeles, New York, and then to the UK. And then from there, we would decide what we would do. So we didn't know our plan had changed. And you do have to step outside the comfort zone occasionally. And we were. So what we would do every day was we would write a list of 6 things that we wanted to do as a family. We would all put something on the list and we would roll the dice. Where we're going today, what we're going to do today. That dice, we read a book called The Dice Man, which is a great little book. If you can't make a decision, what does it matter? Just
Wow.
go with the dice. So
Yeah.
we just had the most wonderful 2 years. It went very quickly. We spent all the money we'd made in real estate, but we knew that travel, being outdoors, was very important. The suburbs of Melbourne, it's a great city, but living in the burbs is really, really boring. It's a treadmill. And we are so grateful that we made that choice. People would say to us all the time, but how can you do that? Why wouldn't you do that? We were young, naive. I wouldn't say stupid, but adventurous. But had we looked at the time and thought we were going to spend all the money, we were going to come back broke and we're going to have to start again, perhaps we would have thought twice, but we never thought that.
Yeah. I was going to say, would you really go back and change that?
Not at all. No. Honestly, it was the life changer for us because we had to learn on our feet with 2 children, so we had to be a little bit
Yeah.
sensible. So we had to learn as we were going.
Yeah.
Learn
And
life.
how were your parents at this time? Were they nervous for you? Did they want you to come back?
We didn't even ask them.
Yeah.
You know,
It's like,
when you've got your own family, your parents don't come into consideration for quite some time. We were
yeah.
we were 33, so we were quite young when we did this. So this was way back in the mid 1980s, late 80s. Um,
Wow.
and so it was quite early. I know a lot of people do it now, and it's absolutely phenomenal what they do. Back then,
Yeah.
I think it was a, now we're looking back, it was a courageous decision. It was a naive,
Almost like a trailblazing thing to do, wasn't it?
it was very different back then. None of our friends did it. So nobody we know did it. So it was really, we were just out there doing our own thing.
Wow.
When I
And
say nothing,
you took off saying that you had 3 months worth of homeschooling in your pack with drop-off points for the future long-distance education plans for
mm,
Dan, our 8-year-old, and we kept it up for 1 week. I love that because the education you get when you're traveling and living somewhere is gigantic.
it
So
was,
tell us a little bit about that. How has his education been through life since the journey?
well, the education we gave our kids was about people, and it was about learning about the environment. It was learning languages, was learning about money. So Dan, the 8-year-old, we decided we would take, the most important thing for a child that age is the times tables. So we took cards with us to teach him the times tables, but the rest of it was whatever we were doing today. It got to the state we were actually in Brazil, and they speak Portuguese there. We'd got through Mexico and we all had a little bit of Spanish, so we could communicate, but Portuguese is quite different. Dan, our 8-year-old, was the one ordering menus. He was the one speaking to anyone asking questions because he picked it up so quickly. At the end of every country that we went to, he would have to do an assignment. Tell us about what you learned about the country, about the money, about the people, about what you noticed. So he got a really good education, I think, about the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't have things because we couldn't carry things because everything was on our backs. So it wasn't about things. It was really about what they saw, what they experienced, what they learned.
Do you
Um,
have those journals that he would have written during that time?
We don't have his journals, but Dave and I both wrote our own journals on a daily basis.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's
No.
pretty exciting to look back at, I'd imagine.
Yes, it is. Well, I haven't taken them out of the cupboard for years, but occasionally I've re-looked at them. The kids were stuff we sent in instead of the homework because it was a little bit illegal back then to be just taking your children and disappearing. So instead of the homework they set us, we just sent the journals back in for the first year anyway.
Oh, wow. How wonderful.
Yeah.
Because you said from Fiji, you then moved to Tonga, where the people had enormous lobsters that you could buy 8 on a string for $10.
Well, we didn't enjoy Tonga very much. The people there were enormous. I don't know if you've ever seen the rugby players. They are big. And when those women walk down the street, or those men, they charge down the street. They are in command. And you just
Wow.
jump aside, not just step aside. So Tonga wasn't our favourite place, quite a flat, boring country. We didn't stay long there. We actually went on to Samoa a little bit earlier than we thought. But yeah, string of lobsters, food was very inexpensive. We met the King of Tonga out running one day. But yeah, Tonga wasn't great.
So from Tonga, you went to Samoa, straight
Yes,
into a cyclone.
absolutely. That was a little bit hairy, I can assure you. We were in a tiny little cottage and it rained and rained for days and we're stuck in the cottage, but the water's turned off. So you can't actually get fresh water. So we were putting buckets outside for washing the dishes and flushing the toilets.
Mm.
No food was available for days, no electricity because electricity was off. We were knee deep in water. It was a little bit scary for a few days. Then we found a fresh watering hole and where we could go and have a shower, and all the Tongans were there, all the Samoans were there, and they're all wrapping in their sarongs, and they hopped into the bathing pool, and we all hopped in together. That was pretty exciting and amazing. Um,
Wow.
we loved Samoa. We went to several of the islands there. So there's a Western Samoa, which has several islands, and then there's also American Samoa, which is
Ah,
which is an American army base there. Totally different countries, but same people, but different cultures, different people.
wow. I just love the stories that come through in this book. And next up was the Cook Island.
Yes, yes. So we adored the Cook Islands. We fell mad in love. We managed to rent a house right on the lagoon. So we're actually, the house was sitting on the sand with the lagoon in front of us. So that time was absolutely incredible. The kids would get out there snorkeling every day, swimming every day. I like to scuba dive there, but that was over the reef because the island is surrounded by a reef. The lagoon is quite safe. And we Dave and Danny would map out an area every day in the lagoon, and they would go and study what came in and out during the different tides. And in the evening, we went snorkeling in the evening, in the nighttime. You know those horrible slugs you see? They all have a meeting place. They all gather together at nighttime, as if they're holding a meeting. So we certainly had a wonderful time there. We met a lot of expats, a few locals, but mostly expats. People living there. The Cook Islands is excuse me for talking so fast. So it's a tax-free haven. So a lot of international countries go there for their tax-free status, but very much a country that is built on, what is the word I'm looking for, where it's run by families.
Yeah.
So you can only do anything if the family says you can do something. The president's of families is all about families. And we found a beautiful restaurant there. We thought we could live here because we were just having such a great time. However, it was only the beginning of our journey, so we thought we couldn't. It was not a possibility. The kids would have to be homeschooled in New Zealand, a lot of boarding school. That's not what we were after. We were after a place we could come to and give our kids the best lifestyle. So that was
So
a great.
you kept on going. You did your South America, you did America,
Yep.
and then maybe some Europe, some England, and all of this in 2 years.
Yes, so we did have 12 months. Our first ticket was a one-way ticket to the UK, which only lasted for 12 months. So we got to the UK. Then when we went across to Ireland, I have lots of family in Ireland, and we spent a few months settling in over there for a little while. Thank God, my sister's very generous. And then from there, we hit Europe, Greece and Italy and France and Belgium. And we did a lot of train travel. So we moved one place to the next with a train, hop off, have a look at that country. Europe was sort of a bit of a blur. It goes very fast from my memory, where the slower times of the islands and the beginning was much slower. This was a bit faster. We certainly enjoyed it. What would the highlights be? The Greek islands. We were in Mykonos in the middle of winter. Let me tell you, that country is bloody cold. The winds come down from Siberia, and it is icy, and nobody lives there in winter. So there was one restaurant open, there was one bar open, and that was about it. We had some lovely accommodation, you know, the white, traditional white houses with the blue doors and the pink bougainvilleas, but it's freezing, absolutely freezing. So that was interesting. I went back to Mykonos last year and saw it in a different light, but I think I prefer the winter light. Where there's just a few locals living there.
Oh, thank you for sharing that. So that's really interesting and good to know if you are traveling to countries in the off season, especially the smaller ones, what is open, what will be there. I love when we were staying in France and you become really good friends with the shop owner, with the breakfast place, and then they'd say, "Oh, Kathy, we're shutting, we're closing for 2 weeks, we're going on holidays." And you're like, "Oh," and they just close and off they go. It's amazing. But in winter, yes, most of them have left for somewhere warmer.
They have, definitely.
And I love you put here, follow every rainbow. You don't have to see the whole staircase. Just take the first step. And this was our first step coming back into deciding to come back to Australia, have to choose somewhere where it's nice and warm and we have outdoor activity because that's what we love.
Correct.
Thinking of your islands, and lucky for all of us, you set up in Noosa.
Yes, we borrowed mum and dad's camper and we dropped the kids off at them. That was very nice after 2 years to have a break. And we just got in the camper van and came north. We came to Noosa. We had been here before. And then we went as far as Harvey Bay and we said, no, not quite. So we came back to Noosa and we said, well, this is the place. What are we going to do? Don't know, but we're coming back. So we headed back to Melbourne. We found a house. We found a school, brought the kids up here and we said, come to the Sunshine Coast, kids. 3 months of rain. So it was very
Oh,
the first 3 months, they didn't believe us at all. But we found a lovely little home and the kids went to school, and we had come up with a lot of ideas while traveling. So when you're not stressed, creativity steps in, and we had hundreds of ideas of what we would do when we came back. We set up a small company called Cadillac Jack because of the Cadillac we'd hired in the States.
no.
And we started to started to look at setting up some of the things that we had seen while we were traveling and bringing them to our country. I tell you the truth, our money ran out very quickly. We'd spent most of it. When we left in 88, interest rates were at 18.75%. Yeah. So we were hoping to have lived on the interest at that time. We didn't. We spent it, but never mind. We came back and then we had to get work. So there's not many jobs in Noosa. There never was, never has been. So my husband and I both started selling advertising space in little magazines. Door knocking. Okay, neither of us have done that before, but that's what we started. I decided I was spending far too much time earning too little, so I decided I'd have give real estate a try. So I went selling real estate, got my license. In that meantime, a small business came up for us to buy, and my husband had been in the print trade. This was a signage business. The man had bought it to set up with his son. 3 weeks into it, they couldn't work together, so we
Oh,
bought this little business off them. I sat in real estate for 6 months, but you can't run a business on your own. You can't do all the work, all the marketing, and everything. You need a partner. So I went and joined my husband in our signage company, and we built it from a one-man show into a multi-million-dollar company, which we spent the next 30 years working at, which still goes today. We managed to sell it in 2020 during COVID. Yes.
wow.
Thank you very much. But you learn a lot of things when you have never been in business. You have to do it all. So you have to learn the bookkeeping, you have to learn sales, you have to learn marketing, you have to learn printing, basically, things we didn't know. So we stepped up into every challenge and accomplished them. I did find being in business sometimes it's best to hire people that know what they're doing. So the best advice we were given was to get yourself a good bank manager, a good lawyer, and a good accountant, and
Mm,
use their advice, which we did, which helped us fund our lifestyle here in
yeah.
Noosa. Mm.
So great. I love that. It really is about bringing the experts in because we don't know everything.
No.
And we're not always the very best at advising ourselves. So, yes, having a great accountant is really, really, really important to
Yep.
business. You said learning, growth, and self development change your thoughts and you change your world.
Yes.
And I often say, change your language and you change your life. Follow
Mm.
the whispers, not the loud voices.
Mm.
And it is those little whispers in those moments when we are quiet or when we might take that moment to put our feet in the grass, or perhaps some of you meditate for 5 minutes. There's those little whispers. And I love that. And you've given some great points through the book, but I'm going to skip them
Mhm.
and head over to surround yourself with people who inspire you to grow. Because
Mm.
this is around the time that I got to meet you.
Mm.
Surround yourself with the dreams and the doers, the believers and thinkers, but most of all, surround yourself with those that see the greatness within you, even when you don't see it yourself.
Mm.
And so you've been on this journey. You've had so much life experience. You've met people from everywhere. You're in
Mm.
this community that you love. You've got a business that's striving well, but you notice that there's a gap sitting there.
Correct.
There's something here that maybe is, we talk about our different thirds of life, but that mattered to you, that made a difference to you. And so can you tell us a little bit about that, and especially what you created through Womenkind Australia?
Okay, well, I found I had lacking in skills, and one of the things that I was often asked to do was to speak. We were at conferences, etc., and honestly, I couldn't do it. I was just too terrified to speak. So I decided I needed to learn to speak in front of people. So I looked online, and there was a course for radio training, and I thought, oh, that's just perfect. I can learn to talk to people, but behind a screen. So I'm actually not out there in front of all these people. I'm actually behind the screen. So I did the radio training and they offered me a course, a spot which I willingly took on, and we called it Conversations with Jojo. And every week I would invite women to come and talk to me. I love women. I really adore them. And local women in particular are so inspiring, because to survive in a place like Noosa, women had to step up. They had to become all they could be. They had to find ideas, small businesses. How can I make my, because they were the same as me. There's no work there. You have to create your own. And every week I met these most amazing women. So after 4 years, I had a fight with the radio people, but that's okay. But I missed these women. So I wanted to bring them together, because I felt that each of them needed to meet each other and be inspired by each other. So we started with a lunch, and then we started having breakfasts, and then we started with retreats, just bringing the knowledge and the inspiration of these women together, which ended up bringing the upcoming mayor to one of our events. And she said to me, Jo, there's a lot of issues in Noosa that you may not know about. That there is homelessness in Noosa. I didn't see homelessness. I only saw these wonderful women. There was domestic violence in Noosa. Again, something we hadn't seen. So she was the inspiration for me to bring the women together to raise money for these causes. Now, to do that, I couldn't do that under my own name. I'd created a little group called the Noosa Circle, which was my little group of women. There was several hundred of them. And we just started raising money. So we then had to set up a not-for-profit to be totally transparent. You've got to understand, I've got the now mayor of Noosa. Everything has to be totally above board. So Womenkind came about because of that. We needed a body that was totally transparent, and so we could continue to raise money for women. So I began to hear the stories from the women themselves that were homeless, from the women suffering DV, but also the gaps, things that weren't being attended to by our government organisations. And we created a community-led not-for-profit. The community asks for it, the community needs it, we provide it by fundraising and then putting people in place to help them. So that's how Womenkind came about and why it continues.
I love that. And there's so many amazing women, like you said, that are now on the board running these events. And
Yes.
it's just beautiful to see that that is a true legacy that you are able to pass on and pass forward. In the book, you say, looking inwards and growing outwards, the unexamined life is not worth living. Would you like to share with the audience, as we're getting ready to wrap up, what that means to you?
Well, I'm not an arrogant person. I'm a person that is continually seeking knowledge. So I think it's really, really important that we look within to see at all the time to see, am I on the right track? Am I just saying the right things? Am I doing the right things? Am I doing things that are really what I need to do? How do I explain it? It's really difficult for me to explain that, but I feel you have to look at self-doubt's a good thing. Questioning yourself.
Yeah.
Examining what you're doing and why you're doing it. I'm not ego-led, but there is an ego there. But I question that ego. Am I doing it for me, or am I doing it for someone else? Am I doing it for the right reasons? Yeah. So that's
fantastic. And that is one of the trickiest things, because sometimes we could start off doing everything for the right reason, and then there's a little bit of a change, or someone's given a suggestion, and next minute there can be an ego attached or around it. And so even being able to let it go and letting other people look after it, you know that you pass it on, you know that it will keep going, you know that there is a legacy there for it, which is beautiful. Now, we were talking about rolling the dice before, something that you did in the family. We're going to do that today. But before we go into that, I would like just to ask you, is there anything else that you would love our listeners to know, to grow? What is that big one, not tip, but information that you would love a woman to know, with everything that you've experienced all the way through your life? One is very hard, but what would you love them to walk away with from this podcast today?
Don't be frightened.
I love that. And what a great one-liner. Don't be frightened. And if I can bring in for a moment, I think they said in the Bible, like, it's about 120, although it's getting around saying 365 times, do not fear. Fear not. We aren't supposed to do that as human beings. So I love that. And how fast did we get that answer? I was still looking at my dice questions. Here we go, Josanne. It's the roll of the dice. Let's see what happens. Let's see what number you get today.
4.
Number 4. The joy question.
Oh, love joy.
And Josanne, you have brought a lot of joy to many people. So thank you. What's one simple thing that instantly brings you back to yourself?
Thinking of my grandchildren. And you are right, joy in the heart. My grandchildren can be a great deal of joy.
My gosh, how many grandchildren do you have?
4.
4. 4. Oh, and you got the number 4 question for the joy. Well, I'm due to have my first grandchild this year in May, so very excited.
Yes, very excited.
Welcome to Any Tips Offline here. Maybe the podcast listeners would love to hear too. But as we close here today, I'm just going to read from, my book I've written all over here.
Love that.
Highlighted in.
I thought I was so naughty, writing in books. They were sacred to me.
I love it. Like if it's a non-fiction book, I'll get my highlighter and I'll highlight things that I want to remember, to flick through, to stand out for me. So yes, you're not naughty, listeners, if you are highlighting anything. It's just they're the things we want to stand out. All right. So as we finish today, I just want to read the last quote that you've left us with. My own feeling of peace is my current mission. Am I a leader? Yes. I lead myself boldly and bravely, but don't bother following me. You might end up lost. I love that. Thank you so much for being here with us today, Josanne. Thank you for your chapter in Empower Her that has traveled the world now.
Wow.
So many countries. And one of the exciting things is one of the men that read it left a message saying all men should read this book. Wow. And I think that's really interesting because it's also powerful that they're going to learn so much about us, about our journeys in business, in life, in home. And, knowledge is power. So there we go. To all our listeners, keep empowering, and we'll see you on the next episode. Bye for now.